What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Cleveland, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, Cam. How about yourself?
I'm well, man. Heard you had a nice trip to the Midwest. How'd that go?
Oh, it was a great experience to be in the big house with 108,000 screaming, roaring fans. Unfortunately, my beloved alumni, University of Washington, was on the wrong side of all of that, and it was kind of a tough situation for the fans being there. But loved the experience and wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Yeah, what was the weather like out there?
It was actually very pleasant, maybe 75 or so. Light breeze, nothing too heavy. Great
Oh
weather.
yeah,
Shorts weather, actually.
sure. Well, let's not get carried away now. I mean, let's not get carried away. But that was good. That's good to hear, man. Sorry about your Huskies that they couldn't pull it out. But hey, so that's 0-2 for the Huskies.
Yes, that's true, Cam. They are on to at present. Thanks for bringing that up. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
All right, my bad. Once again, fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is episode 156 of this iteration of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you guys for listening to us. However you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're on the go, listen to us on the podcast via Spotify, tuned in, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're checking us out on YouTube, we appreciate that too. Also, be sure to check out, go ahead and subscribe to HNB Media TV if you haven't already done so. And if you've already done so, we thank you. Then also, make sure you subscribe to the Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Voice of the Fans on YouTube. We got a lot of a variety of sports and competition content for you guys to check out. A lot of interviews from many segments of the sports world. So go ahead and check that out. This week, Clevon, actually, man, checking out some Long Beach Grand Prix and talking to the drivers there. A question I wanted to get answered was, are race car drivers athletes? So I had a chance to chop it up with some professional drivers. Actually, one lady was from Seattle. A couple of these guys from Texas, Canada, and these guys have been driving all over the world in their particular events. So, of course, they try to convince me that they are athletes, but you're gonna have to go into the videos on YouTube, Voice of the Fans on YouTube, and kind of see what their response was. Am I convinced they're athletes? Not so sure. Are they precision? Are they precision, highly skilled, trained professionals? Yes, I'll give them that. I'll give them credit for being that. Athletes, yeah. But nonetheless, you're gonna have to go. We had a lot of good conversations with them. Go ahead, check it out at Cleveland. I think I sent you a video. I don't know if you had a chance to check it out, but go check it out, man. It's an interesting day yesterday at Media Day for the Long Beach Grand Prix Acura Long Beach Grand Prix. Got a chance to ride in a new Acura NSX. $180,000 vehicle is pretty. It's pretty tight, man. Three motors, two electric, one gas motor. Um, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Um, pretty freaking impressive. So it was pretty cool, man. I had some great conversations with those guys. That's just an example of some of the content that you'll find on the Voice of the Fans podcast. So go ahead and check that out. Cleveland, as I mentioned, September 15th, 100 week 115 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. How we do each and every week, Cleveland. We look at the numbers. This week is being number 15. So when you think of the number 15, who comes to your mind first, or who wore that number the best?
Probably who comes to mind first is a cat named Carmelo Anthony.
Oh,
young, silky hooper from Syracuse, national champion. Who wore it the best? Man, probably Patrick Mahomes. Just the way he, willed his team to victory. I mean, and in some ways, he might even come to mind first. I'm just saying, let's give Carmelo his props because it's Carmelo.
I mean, when you have Carmelo or Patrick Mahomes, at least Patrick Mahomes has been to a championship and won a championship, all right, in the professional ranks. So
okay, I hear you.
That's a great call right there. That's a great call, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I think Anthony Allen, but again, I'm not sure you went to that school down in Montlake like you claim you do. You did, but that kid Anthony Allen. I mean, why wouldn't he come to your mind first?
He's there. He's in my thoughts for real.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a few more guys that come to mind before Carmelo Anthony, but Patrick Mahomes was a good one. I got Nikola Jokic. He's in line to become an NBA champion. So here right away. So we'll see how that works out. And then number 56. I mean, I don't really think it deserve much conversation. Who wore that number best and who come to your mind first when you think of number 56? I mean, it should only be one guy, Mr. Clevon.
It's just LT for me, Cam. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's exactly who it should be. That's exactly who it is and should be for anybody. So we can just move right along from that category. This weekend, man, we had week 1 of the NFL in the books. Obviously, so I'm gonna take it you were hungover on Sunday morning, afternoon, / day, evening, whatever you want to call it, and didn't get a chance to watch much football, NFL football. So, I mean, through your travels,
I'm not quite sure why that was your narrative, kind of coming off the break. Did you hear something I didn't hear? Or
I mean, if you were in the big house on Saturday,
they don't sell alcohol at the big house, my friend. Perhaps you didn't know that. So yeah, stone cold sober watching that debacle.
It's a dry venue.
It's a dry venue. Yeah.
Wow.
Pepsi and water.
I did not know that.
Okay, well, so then maybe put your tongue back in your mouth and go down a different path. Just saying.
Well,
I wasn't hungover watching the games the next day, so I mean,
Well, so you didn't do it. You didn't quite do it right. You're supposed to go. What happened to
how are you supposed to do it in a dry house? I mean, come on.
There's no tailgate. There's no tailgating.
Tad bit, but I mean, that was like 4 hours before the game. Come on now.
4 hours. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I don't know where the heck you stayed in Michigan, but I thought they sell alcohol by 12 o'clock everywhere. Nonetheless. And then you didn't drown your sorrows in a pint or two out there.
Hey, look, you know what I'm saying? You're speculating on what I was doing. I'm just saying, hey man, you're just dead wrong.
Yeah.
No, you're dead wrong. Yeah. No, yeah. A little disappointed.
Okay,
about the outcome, and didn't partake as much as we would have liked to in celebration. In defeat. So yeah, no, wasn't what you were thinking, Cam.
Don't get all salty with me because
I'm just saying. Okay, well then don't just come off the top rope, just saying, hey man, he was hungover when these things happened. No,
okay,
was not.
Hey, shame on you guys. Shame on you guys for not quite.
Okay. It just wasn't the environment and the atmosphere and the results to do so. So
okay, yeah, all right. So how much football did you watch then on Sunday?
Quite a bit.
That's what I was getting.
Pretty much all of it.
Pretty much all of it.
Yeah, it's not as hungover as you were trying to implicate. Or insinuate, I should say.
So you saw the Dolphins get their victory up in the Northeast.
I did see that. I did see that. Yeah.
Okay.
So as fate would have it, there was a fumble inside the 10-yard line.
Caused by who? Who caused that fumble?
Did not lead to a lead from the New England Patriots.
I mean, who caused that fumble? He didn't just drop the ball out of nowhere. There's somebody caused that fumble.
Fumble the football.
Who caused it? Oh, you don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about what caused the fumble. Okay, but I'll tell you who caused it. I'll tell you who caused the fumble. The defensive player of the year last year. That's who caused the fumble. And Xavier Howard. That's who caused the fumble. Okay, you don't have that guy on your squad. They didn't throw to him all day, so he was a little bored.
I thought the defensive player of the year was Aaron Donald. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you did actually. Defensive player of the year in Xavier Howard. Again, he was a little bored. He was a little bored throughout the game because they didn't want to throw his direction. So he had to get out there and make some plays any way he could. And so that's how players step up when, they just try to avoid him all day. He steps up and makes a play. And so, again, you and Brian Flores in that whole Steve Nelson team you guys got over there, if you don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cam. Are you back on some type of probationary period where you can be somewhat of a Dolphins fan? Look at you. Trying to act like you got a transfer. Try to get on the 48 with everybody else. Wow. Are you back on the Dolphins bandwagon? What?
No, I'm just telling you that the Dolphins got a W, and then
They sure did. What's that mean to you, though?
What do you mean? What's that mean to me?
I mean, it's just a win. It's just one of the NFL teams. Oh, it's we again.
We want to know.
It's we again.
You know what? You can't. You know what? Regardless of the conversation that you was.
It's we again. Oh.
Regardless of the conversations, I am and will be a Dolphins fan for the foreseeable future.
Especially, I think I want to know.
Yeah, 1-0. That's a start, right? That's a start, right?
Yeah, especially afterwards. Fans who want that tape back 2 weeks and see what Cam was talking about his Dolphins. Anyways, moving right along.
So we got the Packers wish they could say they weren't 1-0. As they go down to Jacksonville and get blitzed by the New Orleans Saints, who had to kind of change their home and find a new field to play in. Jameis went to work. I mean, the LASIK work, or was that just bad juju by the NFL MVP for last season? How did you see that game?
I have no idea, Cam. It was such an apparition, man. And those Green Bay Packers cost me thousands on that sportsbook, man. Wow. Had them on multiple parlays. It was horrible. Just watching Aaron Rodgers just sling the ball aimlessly around the field like he just didn't have a care in the world. It was very strange. And then to watch Jameis have this precision that he's never shown in his career ever before was kind of like, what's going on here? Some type of, bizarro world almost. It was crazy to watch.
He thought they might have changed.
And then you saw Jordan Love come off the bench. I mean, when's the last time you saw Aaron Rodgers not finish a game?
Yeah, he came in early in the fourth quarter too. Yeah. He was in the game early.
They pulled the plug pretty early.
But I mean, do you expect Aaron Rodgers and the Saints to bounce, or in the Packers to bounce back, or is this a sign of things to come in the future?
I expect them to. I mean, I can't see why, they had that type of performance in the first game, but I expect them to bounce back. Aaron Rodgers was the MVP of the league last year and still has a tremendous amount of talent. So I don't see why they wouldn't bounce back. And especially against the Detroit Lions, watch them play, spirited effort, but not the greatest team in the world. So they should carve them apart.
Okay. Another team that played pretty well in this football was your guy Russell. Go ahead and talk about Russell. It looks like they were allowing him to cook a little bit last night. They were allowing him to make decisions and allowing things to happen for the team. So go ahead and talk about Russell. I know you're excited about how they played, and now they're 1-0. So go ahead and talk. I'll give you the floor. Talk about Russell Wilson, and Tyler Lockett.
A dynamic duo, Cam. I was extremely impressed with the way Russ ran that offense. The play calling, it was not as predictable as it has been in the past. Kind of definitely kept, the Colts defense off guard, and, they ran it perfectly. DK didn't get a lot of touches early, but, when it counted, he got them. Chris Carson. Do you know who Chris Carson is? I'm sorry. I don't see the ticker, so I'm so sorry. It's the guy that you don't think is going to get 850 yards this season. It started out with 91, so I guess we only got 9 games to go, and a 17-game season before he gets here. But
how many games
established to run,
how many
physical mentality.
How many games?
I'm sorry. I thought he was asking me about my Seahawks.
Yeah, I was.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Chris Carson.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as the aforementioned Tyler Lockett, I mean, he's a wizard running those routes, and him and Russ have this type of zen, and it was on display. So, good win for the Hawks on the road. in the
Okay.
Eastern time zone.
How many games do we have left to play this season?
16.
Okay, just checking, just checking.
Okay. So you're already 750 short. So 16 games, 750.
Yeah. Again, as I stated initially when I made that assertion, um, I'm not sure he finishes the season. So
Okay.
we'll see how things transpire. And
Well,
there
pretty
you want
sure he's going to
you
gain more
want
than 850 yards the way it's looking right now. But I
to
mean, like you said,
well,
it is a long season. And I don't want to jinx it, dude, like you're trying to do. So I'm just saying, productivity wise, in the the first game looks pretty promising for me.
okay, all right. Well, you like to jump on early and then kind of count your chickens before it hatch. Um, Browns and the Chiefs. That was a pretty good game. I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch any of that game. Did you see the game and what you think of the results of the Browns versus Chiefs? The Browns kept it close for a little while.
Got to watch quite a bit of that game, Cam. I was very impressed with the way the Browns went down the field, scored, and then went for two just for really no reason. I mean, you know, it was the first score of the game. It's like, what are you trying to say? Like, we're in this to get into a slugfest with you guys, and we're going to get our points where we can, and you're not expecting it. And it went well for the first three quarters, and then it just kind of all, the wheels kind of fell apart. And kind of trying to keep that type of high-powered offense in check for that long is a very difficult thing to do, and you have to score with them. So ultimately, they suffer the same fate that most teams face. Is they just couldn't score enough points and couldn't keep the game in front of them for long enough. And then turnovers at the end, you know, Baker with the interception, the fumbles. It's just, the margin for error is not that great. So it was a valiant effort on their part, and, perhaps they meet again in the playoffs, but that was kind of the result that I was expecting.
Yeah, it was a result that we were all expecting, but as you mentioned, when the Browns jumped out to an early lead, it kind of shows what they're capable of. So it allows them to kind of give them some confidence, if you will, a little bit, because now they know what they can do, and it's about can they continue on that effort and play for a full 48 versus or full 60 minutes, excuse me, versus a half a game or three quarters of a game. That's where they're at now. They've shown that they can do it. A lot of people had confidence in them. Now they're going to have to prove to themselves and prove to the league that they can play the full 60 minutes. So, astute observation by you. Um, what do you think about the Broncos routing the Giants? I mean, the Giants aren't world beaters, but the way Teddy Bridgewater had the game played, looked like Teddy was back in Minnesota, just moving around well, putting on fakes and shaking defenders out their socks as he's making touchdown plays. What do you think about, or what did you see with the Broncos?
Was all over that, Cam. Jumped all over the disrespect for the Denver Broncos. Only -3 against the Giants. Ooh, loved it on the teaser. Sorry, for my gambling fans out there that watch the show. Yeah, I was in the sports book pretty much all day that Sunday, so very dialed in. But yeah, no, that he ran the offense the way he's supposed to. Very Alex Smith like, very efficient. Does what he needs to do. Run, pass, mix it up. Great victory for them.
So, so if I understand you, I mean, I understand you correctly. You actually found a state where you can actually bet on games, huh?
Yes, and Cam, I'll have you know that here in the 206, the tribal casinos have actually opened up a sports book. So yeah,
Uh oh,
it's one of
uh
the
oh.
places. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to make a few stops over there, see what I can do. But yeah, I'm excited as heck.
Which one is that?
All of them. So
Oh, so you go anywhere and get you a bet in, huh?
Snoqualmie, Emerald Queens, Muckleshoot,
Oh,
uh, Tulalip. Yeah, all of those.
look at you! Look at you!
Yeah, feel good. Feel great.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Hmm.
Congratulations. Now
Appreciate
let's see.
that. Appreciate
Now
that.
let's see if the wifey can keep you at home now.
Well, I mean, like, no promises right there, but yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. Okay. Um. I mean, yeah. So there was some good games. I think we talked about some of the biggest games I had. Well, tell me what you thought about the Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Oh my goodness, did they jump on top of the your Washington football team, um, and render that pass rush mute? Like, they think they got to Justin twice in the whole game. What's your thoughts on the Washington football team? How they performed? Is that what we should expect to see the rest of the season, or is it more like the Chargers and we should be looking at them and what they do for the rest of the season? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, the Chargers were definitely able to keep them off balance, and like you're saying, Chase Young and Sweat were not, the factors that they were supposed to be. Of course, the big takeaway from that game is Ryan Fitzpatrick, injuring himself, and the backup having to be forced into that role again, like he was last year when he had to take over for Haskins. So I think it speaks more about what the Chargers were able to do adverse what the Washington football team wasn't able to do. And I think that the Washington football team will be just fine going forward.
So, so you brought up the injury between Fitzpatrick and him not, the magic going into the locker room there. Um, with that being said, should Rivera sign Cam?
No, man, that's just too much drama. He's not. Yeah, no.
So essentially, because if Rivera doesn't sign Cam, Cam's career is about over. Would you agree with that?
We'll
Because
see what happens in Dallas. I mean,
he was a free agent. He was free agent last year, or was it? It was 2 years ago when the Carolina Panthers released him. Rivera then goes and signs with the Panthers and doesn't bring him up there to. Rivera goes signs with the
Washington
Washington football team, and
doesn't sign.
he doesn't bring Cam with him up the road there, and then nobody really wanted him, and he had to sign a make good deal with New England, and you see where they're at now. After they lose to the Dolphins, it's not like they're happy with their quarterback, the young guy, and so now Cam's out there again, and if Rivera doesn't sign him, who's going to sign him? He was just in the situation a season ago, and nobody wanted him, and he had to sign the make good deal. And I mean, who would you think to sign him? You think Dallas would sign him? You think Dallas wants that aura, wants that shadow over Dak Prescott, or I mean, does
I
does
mean, the
Seattle want him?
NFL season's a long season, Cam. I mean, I'm not saying that there's any team that necessarily needs to sign him right away, but I
Mhm.
mean, you see what happened in Baltimore. I mean, just weird happenstance. They lose, three running backs. There may be a team out there that loses their starting quarterback and then their backup quarterback just looks horrible. And it's like, well, I think Cam is at least as good as that dude and has been a NFL MVP once upon a time, a Super Bowl participant. So, that probably gives me a better chance than, whoever your backup is from wherever they're from. Cam's probably a better option than him. So I think probably his best opportunity is just to wait for that to see if that happens. And if it doesn't, then no need to just stand up, with a clipboard for, a team that doesn't really want you and already has a different direction that they're going in.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how things transpire. It looks it's a really bleak look, unfortunately, at the moment for Cam. But somebody who isn't who times aren't looking so bleak for is that running back from Denver Broncos, Melvin Gordon. They went ahead and extended his contract 4 years. I think like 90 million. Were you surprised by this extension? And what do you think about that deal for Melvin Gordon?
Unbelievably surprised given the fact that he hasn't shown a tremendous amount of durability over the years. But hey, man, if they think that he's the dude and, this motivates him to get them to that next level, then, more power to him. Congrats to him. I hope he stays healthy and becomes a Melvin Gordon they always thought that he could be.
Yeah, it's a more power to him, and congratulations for him to signing the deal. But I was very surprised that they gave him. Not only did they re-sign him, but they gave him a healthy extension, I should say. So we'll see how that transpires. And lo and behold, coming off a big game he had on Sunday, so we'll see if he can continue that throughout the year. So we talked about a lot of these wins before we get into our weekly results here. Um, Better win, worse loss. Was it a better win for the Saints or worse loss for the Packers?
Better win for the Saints because it put everything to rest about whether James could be a starting quarterback in this league and whether he could curb his turnover propensity, and he did all of that. So better win for them.
Okay, was that a better win for? I agree with you, by the way, but was that a better win for the Chargers over the football team, or a worse loss for the Vikings to the Bengals?
Worst loss for the Vikings to the Bengals. Yeah, they should have won that game for sure.
Yeah, I actually had the Viking. I actually have the Vikings as a playoff team. So yeah, for them to lose to the Bengals, we all know what Joe Burrow's capable of, but the Bengals as a whole, for them to lose to them in overtime, I mean that was kind of a shameful loss. Even though they fought their way back to push it to overtime, they had no business being down 2 scores to the Bengals in that game. Um, Steelers beat the Bills. Was that a better win for your Steelers and your guy Mike Tomlin, or worse loss for the Bills?
That's a tough one, Cam. That's almost a push, but I'm going to say a worse loss for the Bills because they came out kind of thinking that they were kind of heir apparent to the AFC throne, and Josh Allen getting all that cash in the offseason was supposed to take that next step, and losing at home to, your arch nemesis, one of the teams that's dominated the AFC for the last decade. Yeah, not a good look.
Just when you're talking about the Bills, you say they thought they were the heir apparent. Who in fact leads the AFC East right now? Who's leading that in that division?
That would be the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay. All
Are you
right.
on board with them, Cam?
I mean, they're
Are
leading
you
the
down with
division.
them now?
Man, again, I've always been down with the
You down with
Dolphins, man.
Tua?
I've always been down
Because
with
you
the
got to be
Dolphins.
down with Tua to be down with the Dolphins, man. Are you down with Tua?
Not necessarily.
Okay,
We can point out that
you can't be all wishy washy. One of the no, man.
we can
That's a
point out
package deal. It's a package deal, Cam. It's a package deal.
Oh my goodness! So right now they're 1-0 leading the division. That's good with me. And then last one here, worst loss for the was it better win or worse loss for the better win for the Titans? Or excuse me, better win for the Cardinals or worse loss for the Titans?
Better win for the Cardinals. They went down there, and again, someone else who thought that they were heir apparent to the AFC Championship throne with Derek Henry running the ball at will. Tannehill, doing his best Alex Smith impersonation. They brought in the Ferrari, right? Julio. Supposed to take a little bit of pressure off. Nah, man, they just got beat down. Kyler made it look really, really stupid, like an actual video game, stopping and starting on people,
You see it?
throwing off of his back foot. DeAndre Hopkins doing his best, you know, tap dance impersonation out there.
Did you see with just as you described Kyler Murray's roll when he rolled left, looking for a receiver, looking for a receiver, looking for a receiver, stopped, actually stopped rolling, and then decide, oh, there's my guy right there. Let me fling it to him off my back foot. I mean, this guy, this guy, that was bananas. And like you say, that was a live NFL action, and he did it like somebody played Madden.
Yeah, and then DeAndre Hopkins doing his little Gregory Hines tap dance there in the back of the end zone. It was like, whoa. Yeah, this team was ready to play, and that team just was not, man. They were not ready for all that.
Any idea why Houston traded DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of donuts, man? Any idea? Any idea you can think of why Bill O'Brien traded DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans to?
Well, again, that was under the Bill O'Brien regime. There were some other things that went on that we're not quite sure exactly why. But hey, man, that's then. This is now. It's 2021.
Whew. That was a good win. So let's look at fans. If you don't know, for those of you who may be new to the show, each and every week, Clevon and myself. I'll just call myself the winner in this in this story here. Clevon challenges me each and every week to our weekly picks, straight up against the games in the NFL. Weekly picks. So we have that section. Then we have where we pick 3 games, and we do this. Obviously, the games are what they are. The games are on the schedule, but we make our picks separate from each other. So I actually send Cleveland a list of the picks, and then he sends me his winners. But by the time I get his winners, my picks have already been made. So there's no really, it's we don't share or discuss our picks, and they are kind of what they are. So picks we make our picks straight up against the teams each game of the season, each game of the week. We do this all season long, by the way. And then we have our picks against the spread, where which games do I feel more comfortable with 3 games each week? Which games do we feel more comfortable that the team against the spread will win these games? So, an example, I have Philadelphia -3, I had Houston +3, and Baltimore -4 this week, -4.5. So then we'll grade that out. And so we come up with a score for those 2 categories. And then really to separate ourselves, we have a confidence pick category where each week we will give 1 through 5. We pick 5 teams, and we will rank them from 1 to 5 and how confident we are in that particular pick. So just as an example, last week I had the Rams, Green Bay, KC, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay. The Rams, I gave 1 confidence pick or 1 point for the confidence pick. Green Bay, I gave 2 confidence pick. Kansas City, I gave 3. San Francisco, I gave a 4. And Tampa Bay, I gave a 5. And then I get a score out of that. So each week we compete in this category. So each week moving forward, again, for those fans who are new to the show, we'll be chronicling how, I essentially smacked Cleveland around in this category. And so it's been undetermined as yet as to what the winner of these 3 categories is going to get.
But it's in the works, fans, and I have some things, under wraps, and Cam actually knows what they are, but he just doesn't want to say this yet. But I'm going to give him some examples of what it is that we're going to be playing for. So it's going to be epic.
What's some of the things that's been on the table already? I mean, because we both had.
Well, for example, I want my Macho Man Randy Savage WWF belt when I win that points total. I want my Roger Federer U.S. Open trophy when I win the confidence picks. And then I want that Wimbledon plate when I win the points against the spread.
So we got 3 things.
And then I need to come up with another one when I win the fantasy football. So I'm still working on that, fans. Once I decide what kind of trophy that should be, you'll be in the know as well.
So at the end of the year, they're going to have to be a ceremony where Cleveland awards me each one of these
separate ceremonies for each trophy, fans. It will seem like just a repeat, but it's not. It's just me winning in different categories, just kind of doing the same thing. I'm going to change wardrobe when I go to the ceremony, and it's going to be a different speech every time. You don't have to act like you're going to be bored. It's going to be a different thing for each one of those. So,
well, slow down on your speech.
Stay tuned, fans.
Slow down on your speech, because right now, as it stands at this very moment, we're only week 1 into the season, but we tied on our picks for the week. Both of us went 9 out of 16.
Okay.
Our picks against the spread, we both went 2 for 2.
Okay.
Or 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. So we tied. That gave us 11 out of that. That category. But then the differentiator, the separator, if you will, is what was added in later. Is your confidence picks. I had Green Bay. I gave them a 2.
By the way, fans, I made my pick before the Thursday practice at Baltimore. Just want to let you know that.
Even if we gave him a Baltimore win, he would still be behind in this category.
No, I would not.
Even if we get, because you gave Green Bay a 4. You gave Green Bay a 4.
Okay.
you would have lost. I gave him a 2.
But it'll be a point down as opposed to like 4 points down.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
1.4 points behind is behind.
It doesn't matter.
Okay?
I'm still gonna come and get you, Cam. So
Okay.
It's not like you're getting away from me or anything.
Well, settle down. Let me talk to the people. Let the people
Talk to
know
them.
who won let me know the people who won the category. All your side yapping, we still have to identify who actually won the category. And you see, when somebody gets nervous, they start really jibber jabbering and talking real fast, and they just got a lot to say all of a sudden when they get nervous. This is what happens with Clevon. So as I continue, fans, and before I was rudely interrupted, each one of these categories we kind of give a score. I had Green Bay, and I gave them a 2, and they lost. So that took 2 points out of my possible 15 points. Clevon actually took Baltimore, who lost on Monday Night Football, and he took Green Bay, who got their butts whipped on Sunday. So that was a minus 6 points, and that gave him a 9 out of possible 15 points. So once again, Cameron established himself as a premier pick selector for Week 1. This is Week 1, and they're probably, fans. As I come and think about it, there probably should be an additional category of how many weeks do we win. So we do have it established as confidence pick every week. We do have it established our picks against the spread every week, and then we do have it established.
Quick 20.
No, we do have it established.
Quick 20. Cam, quick 20
picks. Yeah.
Quick. Yeah. Oh no, we're doing that. Oh, that's real. Yeah, I like that. Let me write this down, Cam. Yeah. just another trophy? Another trophy?
Right. I will get another trophy, exactly. I have another plaque on my wall.
Most in each one of these categories? So three more trophies.
Most weeks 1. I mean, if you want to do it overall, Clevon,
most weeks 1 in each category. Okay.
If you just want to do it overall in like I won this overall battle. 2 out of 3 I won. That's one. We should probably do something like that. And I have to keep track of it again. And we'll just identify how Cam wins every week. And
fans, wow, my trophy case. It's amazing. I'm already gonna have to call carpenters over and just create this new wing of the home just to house all of this.
Yeah, Clevon. I wouldn't
make all these newfound trophies. Jeez.
I wouldn't make that phone call too soon.
Okay.
Let me say that. I wouldn't make that phone
call. And fans, we're going to come up with flashcards to let you know where we stand every week within this.
I mean, I could add it to the ticker. You want to add to the ticker right now?
No, I want flashcards. I want actual flashcards.
Cam wins week 1.
To say, yeah, who's winning in this category? Who's winning in this category? Yeah.
Oh, because this ticker isn't effective now. Right now, what does it say? I mean, we're well on our way right there. There's only 10 more games to go for this particular category, right? I mean, again, we have these noted fans, so you can see when you just watch the screen, you can be able to, when you watch the show, you can see the rolling bets that we have going on. Okay, you can see where Clevon is preposterous in some of these statements that he makes, and we catch him on that. Okay, even when Clevon likes to hold on to something, but we can see when things aren't happening quite the way.
Or Cam doesn't understand what a real NFL running back looks like. So things of that nature.
Now we don't want to go. We don't want to have that argument. I know you don't want to have that argument.
Oh no, I mean, it won't be much of an argument after the 9th game of the season. We'll be all done with this argument. Halfway through.
Fans, we got historical precedents that Clevon doesn't really know what he's talking about when it comes down to running back. There's historical precedents met in that category. So nonetheless, Clevon, let's take it right now. Let's go ahead and look at the week we have coming up. This week, and we actually agree, oddly enough, on most or all of these games coming up this week.
Cam, I didn't want to say anything because you were just talking so disrespectful about my prowess, but really it's gonna be, fans, it's not gonna be any one particular, opinion versus another, because sometimes, Cam has a little bit of sense. This next week, we literally do not agree on the outcome of any game.
We do not disagree.
So it is It is an absolute push this week.
Yeah, well, we do, and where we differ.
Now, of course, I agree with the picks for different reasons in him, a lot more rational and thought out. But I mean, some of his stuff is just very emotional and just kind of, riding the wave of what's going on and kind of, listening to, the prognosticators out there and kind of, formulating his opinion kind of around theirs. But at this particular time, it just happens to align perfectly with what I'm thinking. So that's kind of I'm just saying, I'm not going to say great minds think alike, but I'm just saying, he's not that far off all the time.
And again, fans, the differentiators is the picks against the spread. Mm-hmm. We do have one that is the same. We both agree with Cincinnati. Okay. I have Arizona in -5. You have New England in -6. Where I have Arizona not making the playoffs, they sure are getting off to a great start right now. If they I have them beating Minnesota. Maybe I think that speaks more to the Vikings and what they got going on. But I have the Arizona Cardinals beating Minnesota and then beating Minnesota in the spread. So, and then I have KC -3 against the Ravens. The Ravens in battle. I have the Ravens making the playoffs, and looks like they're going to have an 0-2 start. So we'll see how that transpires. Where Cleveland has Houston +12. That is
that's 12.5.
Yeah, 12.5. That is a lot of numbers. A lot of points to be given by the Browns, and for the Browns who kind of probably will keep it close. So I think Houston can beat that actually. So good call by you. Against New England, the Patriots. Who are they up against this week? The Patriots playing the Jets.
The New York Jets, yes.
And -6. I mean, that's a modest number. That's not a bad pick right there. And then again, fans, so that's where the separation is going to come in our picks against the spread. And then I'll further separate myself from Cleveland when we do the confidence picks, because I have New England, Green Bay, Denver, Cleveland, and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay being my 5 pick. You have Arizona, Denver, Cleveland, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay. So the only team we have different in there is I have New England and you have Arizona. So, but again, because of the way we weight the points, is
that same team that you picked to win by 5, and dismantle Minnesota. Yeah. Adverse. You have the New England, the same team that I said would win by 6, and you were skeptical. So you know what I'm saying? We're not that far apart right now. The separation is not right now, Cam.
Well, can you? It's your stamina. How long can you keep this up, Cleveland?
Okay, man.
How long can you stay this close to me as far as
my people are Kenyan, man? My roots go back to Kenya, man. I got distance.
That was a good one, Cleveland. Well, we're gonna see your stamina is quite like the Kenyans.
Yeah.
Because that is going to be tested. It's going to be tested. So, fans, that's how we have the picks, and that's what you can look forward to now until February. Every week we're going to have picks. Every week we're going to have picks. By February, the winners will be established for the regular season. We're going to be talking about playoff predictions then, and then plan on scheduling my winning dinners or my trip to what game I want to go to next season.
My trophies, my belts. My speeches.
We're gonna
overlooking mountains and lakes.
We're gonna have we're gonna have some unique prizes for the winner. Unique prizes, and when I say unique, I mean costly. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's more so. It's going to be costly prizes for Cleveland.
And we're keeping score and we're keeping track. So believe us, it's serious.
So, fans, that's it. When we come back, we're going to come back and we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about some NBA topics, man. We're going to talk. NBA had their Hall of Fame over the weekend. We're going to talk about the Lakers and looking at another guard. There's another guard who's freshly on the market and how he fits with the Lakers' plans. And then somebody else gets paid. Somebody else gets paid in the NBA this season. And then one of the our big conversation is that we're going to start our project is narrowing down the NBA's top 75, and we're going to work on that project starting tonight by just identifying some players who should have been in that top 50 list, but obviously weren't because of their position in the league at that time. So we're going to look at that NBA's top 50 list and then see who we can pull out and replace. Kind of make this transition a little easier. So, fans, let's take a little break, Clevon, and when we come back, we're going to have this NBA conversation.
90 seconds. Be right back.
Yeah. Fans, if you want to go ahead and chime in, because right now, like I said, when Cleveland comes back, we're gonna talk about the NBA the NBA top 75. Their anniversary is this season, top 75, and we're going to identify here in a few weeks our top 75 players in NBA history. And so, if you want to go ahead and send in your comments on who you believe should be added to the top 50 list. That's going to be the basis of our list. We're going to talk about later who should be removed or added to that list, and then identifying the top 75. And go ahead and send that list to me. You can hit me up on Twitter. What's Good in Sport on Twitter. That's What's Good, the letter N Sport, singular, on Twitter. Who should be added to the NBA top 75 list? Go ahead and send that to me. Also, you can hit up Clevon at Clevy Wonder on Instagram. What's your Twitter handle?
At Clevy Wonder on Twitter, Clevon Steele on Instagram.
There you go. Either both of us up, because we're gonna have that. We'd like to get your participation in that as well. So Clevon, this past weekend, Paul Pierce, Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, Chris Bosh, with Jay Wright, Yolanda Griffiths, Lauren Jackson, was named to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Out of those players, Paul Pierce, Chris Webber, Ben Wallace, Chris Bosh, who was the best player out of that group?
It's a tough group, Cam. It's not my favorite Hall of Fame class ever, but from that class, I would probably have to say Chris Webber.
Chris Webber wouldn't be a bad pick. I think he came in the league certainly with the most hype, with the most potential. I'm not sure he was better than Paul Pierce, though. Paul Pierce was buckets, man. From his first season in the league to his final season in the league. Well, no, let me take that back. From the first season in the league to, as long as he was a star, Paul Pierce was buckets. I mean, his final days as a Clipper, it was less than impressive. But
I would think he was Kobe.
Huh?
I was thinking it was Kobe.
And the people don't love him like that. No, in all seriousness, I think Paul Pierce's game, man, he was buckets. He played on a lot of bad teams, if you remember correctly. Um, he played on a lot of bad teams, worse than Chris Webber played on. I know Chris Webber played on the Bullets as they were. I think he spent some time in Detroit, but he came in the league with such great fanfare. Um, that his star, I wouldn't say burned brighter, but it certainly his peak might have been a little higher because in Sacramento they were good for years until the refs decided to do some work. You know, David Stern and the refs were kind of working a little special magic out here for the certain team in the purple and gold. Outside of that, I mean, he ran up against David Stern, the refs, and the Lakers. So shame that was made it tough for Chris Webber. But Paul Pierce, man, once he didn't get traded, he got teamed up with Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. They were a tough team to beat. And as your guy Doc Rivers would say, with all three of those guys healthy, they didn't lose many games. And that was like a 3-year span. So I would have to say Paul Pierce, I think, had a and he won a championship. I think Paul Pierce ultimately was a better basketball player than Chris Webber. Agree or disagree?
No, I understand the argument. I've never been a huge Paul Pierce fan, and I just think that Chris Webber had a better all-around game. Do I think he lived up to his potential? No. Like you were saying, the ceiling was always higher for him than it was for Paul Pierce, and I think he did a lot to kind of, I don't want to say revolutionize the position, but definitely push the position of power forward with regards to what your level of expectation was for their capabilities and skill set. So I think he did that a little bit more for the position than Paul Pierce did as a small forward.
The small forward shooting guard. And I have some. I was disappointed Chris Webber wanted out of Golden State. I've heard varying stories about that situation where he thought they didn't want him, and then he didn't want to be there if they didn't want him. But man, the Golden State Warriors needed a big man. They needed somebody down there to get rebounds and run the floor. When you say he revolutionized the game, he probably was ahead of the game. He was probably a few years ahead of his game because now what you see are the big man, which he would have been at that time, kind of a pick and pop guy, that stretch four, if you will. That's kind of what he was doing before it was popular, and he was able to get the rebound and run the floor. And had he just did that with Golden State Warriors, when you have Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway Jr., Latrell Sprewell, if you just play that low post position like they needed you to play, how good can those Golden State Warriors could have been the years after he left?
I think it is definitely telling that you forget that part of that transition was Tim Hardaway, tearing his ACL. So Tim wasn't there that one season. So
okay,
he had the one season without Latrell, and he had the one season with Latrell, but he never had that backcourt to play with. So there was a lot of talent on that team. You've heard lots of rumors that Don Nelson wasn't, especially early in his, coaching career, is not the easiest person to play for. It's kind of a, he either likes you or he doesn't like you. And if he doesn't like you, it's kind of a bad situation for you, kind of a situation. But Chris Webber just didn't fit into, what was going on over there in that culture and just wanted out.
Yeah, I've heard a couple conflicting stories about that. It was interesting when I met Chris Webber in the hallways down in Houston, they were calling a game. TNT was calling a game with the Clippers were playing the Houston Rockets. I wanted so bad to ask him about it, but our conversation kind of didn't start. It just kind of started. We were just standing waiting to talk to Doc, and we just started up a conversation, and it wasn't going to go that direction. And I was disappointed in Chris Webber when he kind of made it public that he didn't want to be there. And then I didn't really want to bring that up and kind of ruin the conversation that we were having. But I was biting my tongue. Like I wanted it to come out. Like, dude, what the hell happened in Golden State? Like, why couldn't you be there? Why didn't you stay there? But nonetheless, I do think Paul Pierce had a much better career. Ben Wallace, shout out to Pavy, and that's his guy. Is Ben Wallace a Hall of Famer? I don't know, but he was an anchor of the defense that won the Eastern Conference Championship 4 times in a row. Give him credit for that. Pavia say he was the best player on that team. That's an argument there. Like I don't agree with that. They had Rip Hamilton. They had Big
Chauncey
Shot.
Billups.
They had Big Shot Chauncey Billups. I don't know that he was the best player on the team. Nonetheless, that's Pavy's guy. And Pavy go to war with you about some Ben Wallace. Chris Bosh, man. Sadly, he didn't get a chance to finish his career. He had the heart issue.
Clots.
Blood clots or regular heartbeat? I thought it was a regular heartbeat that he had.
Those clots. One of those. I could have those clots, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a medical issue why he couldn't continue his career, and sadly that was the situation. But he was a solid player in Toronto. Obviously, when he went down to Miami, he was a part of a big three, and playing that swing man that stretch four, if you will, the center, kind of stretch center, if you will, to help out LeBron and D Wade kind of do their thing down there. It was a little underwhelming because we all agree that Miami Heat team should have won more than just 2 championships. Nonetheless, Chris Bosh, I mean, back-to-back championships, you can't argue that. We'll do multiple-time NBA All-Star. You can't argue that. So, he I guess deserved a spot there, and it was just sadly that he couldn't finish his career. Most importantly,
yeah, Cam, and you also can't argue going to the championship 4 straight times. I know that at your level of expectation again was a little bit higher, but they did go to the NBA Finals 4 straight times.
I mean, you're supposed to win it 4 times. You're not just be there. I mean,
Hey, man, I'm just saying it is somewhat of an accomplishment. Maybe not the accomplishment that you were hoping for, but it is somewhat of an accomplishment.
I was hoping for.
To go to the championship 4 straight times.
Any person, any Miami.
I'm just saying they did go to the championship 4 straight times. You made it seem like they lost in the first 2 rounds. Like in the first round, the other 2 times.
Were you satisfied? If you were a Heat fan, were you a Bosh fan? Were you satisfied with winning 2 out of 4 championships?
They would have liked more. Didn't happen.
Were you satisfied with that? I mean, of course. So that was better than what Buffalo Bills did. Yes, because they actually won. So, okay. Kudos to that. But were you satisfied with that? That's the point I was making.
I don't know if satisfaction is the right word, Cam, but I'm not like saying it wasn't an accomplishment to do that. It was certainly an accomplishment, just not as much of an accomplishment as you would have liked. That's all I'm saying. Okay, you made it seem like they were just dirt.
No, I said
those other 2 years.
They won.
They did get to the NBA Finals.
They won 2. They were NBA champions 2 years back to back seasons. Yes, okay. That was. But to go to come on, Clevon, you're trying to change what I'm saying here. Any Miami Heat fan,
I'm not trying to change what you're saying. Yeah, it was disappointing that they didn't win more, but you're making it seem like they didn't win at all. That's all that I'm saying.
I started off by saying they won 2 back-to-back championships. Any Heat fan would have said that was an underwhelming achievement. They would have expected more. That's what I said. Any Heat fan or now any LeBron fan, any Dwayne Wade fan would have said this team should win, like they said.
Should have won 6, more.
Not 7, not 8 championships.
Should have won more, but you're making it seem like they didn't win 2 at all. That's all that I'm saying.
When you have a parade and you're on the podium, when you're saying not 6, not 7, not 8, and when you win 2, that's underwhelming. All right, that's not living up to potential. Would you agree on that?
I would agree with that.
Okay, thank you. So stop trying to make up some false argument there that I'm having. Okay, stop that. Speaking of LeBron James, Are the Lakers about to sign John Wall?
No.
You sure? He's
Positive.
he's another aging veteran in the league. Like, why wouldn't they want some guy like body like that?
They already have Russell Westbrook. They don't need two of those.
Two what? Two ball
Cats,
handlers.
cats that are really energetic and athletic and fast and can jump high and grab a lot of rebounds and don't shoot particularly well, but the volume of the shot they get and typically the player that's guarding them, they'll get numbers, but yeah, they don't need two of those. They just need one.
So where do you see John Wall signing? Since he and Houston kind of agreed that we're going to work a trade for you. Where do you see him
Have
signing?
absolutely no idea what is the best fit for John Wall at present.
But you just don't want him as a Laker.
He won't be a Laker now.
No, that sounds like there's some personal animosity or
No,
you're being vindictive
I'm
against
just,
John
I'm
Wall.
just saying,
That's what that
I'm
sounds
just
like to
saying
me.
they already have a player just like that. Why would they need two of those? They don't need two of those.
I mean, they went and got they went and got your boy Rondo. Why would they need another point guard? And they had Russell Westbrook.
That is Russell Westbrook. Yes, they have him, but so what? Rajon Rondo's family. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, nah,
You know what I'm saying? His family.
He's family.
He already apologized for going over that other locker room. He didn't like it. He showed them the pictures of what it looked like. They all laughed. They smoked cigars over it, and it's a done deal.
I just thought about something. Maybe they brought Rondo in to give him some intel about what's going on in that locker room over there.
Oh man, they don't need none of that, man. They already saw the pictures, man. They just be cracking up, man. It's just the funniest thing to them.
I just thought about that. Maybe they brought Rondo in to try to give them some intel, let them know what's really going down in that other locker room.
No, man.
How they treat the players. How they have the food set out for the players.
They miss their, Cam. They miss their space, partner, man. They miss a dude they can talk with and just hang out and just be the OG in the background, man. They miss that, and he's back.
Okay, all right. I still think we might see John Wall wearing a purple and gold number 11 or something, maybe like that. The Nuggets signed Aaron Gordon. So this turns out it wasn't a rental. They give him 40 mil or 4 years over 90 mil. Aaron Gordon. What do you think about that for Aaron Gordon? I mean, or for Aaron Gordon and for the Nuggets, do you think now the second year that he flourishes with the Nuggets, or gives them a little bit more? He was more defense towards the end of the year and toward the playoffs. Do you think they give him that scoring punch that's needed for the Nuggets to kind of get over the hump there?
No, not really. I mean, I think it was a great deal for both of them because it's basically the same contract that he had before. The 4 years prior. So it's like basically getting Aaron Gordon, at the same rate that you would be getting him 4 years ago. So it's a good deal for Denver. It's a good fit for Aaron. They don't ask him to do too much like they did in Orlando. They have, potential MVP in Joker and, Jamal Murray when he gets healthy, Porter Jr., a great nucleus. So they don't ask him to do too much, but be athletic around the rim. And that's something that they somewhat lack, and he gives them that. So
you don't want him to do too much. I mean, I think he
don't want Aaron Gordon to do too much, man.
I think he averaged 15 points. You don't want a little bit more, some more points out of him?
Nah, that's cool. Get your 15 and your 12 and play great defense and be a threat to jump out the gym, man. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I would think you want a little bit more out of Aaron Gordon, considering what he was. Wasn't he thought of as a go-to guy?
No, but they've come to that realization long ago, Cam, that he's not all that. So just do what you do really, really well and effectively and stay healthy. And yeah, we could use that. And we just got rid of Millsap's contract. So yeah, it's a little room for you.
So he averaged in Denver last season. He averaged 10 points a game in Denver. That's underwhelming. I don't care what you say. That's underwhelming. His
So your 15 looks extraordinary in comparison to what he averaged last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said he
So
averaged
give us,
10.
that 50, or give them that
There you go.
15. Yeah, they'll be good to go.
He is 10 and under 5 rebounds a game, and they're paying him. Woof, they're paying him over 20 mil for that.
Yeah, and you balked at my 15 and 12. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Orlando, his highest 2017-18, he averaged 17 points a game, and he averaged 8 rebounds a game.
Okay.
And
Then
this,
Denver will take that 17 and 8 all day.
yeah,
And at
yeah, he's a long way from
same
17.
rate that he
He's
signed
a
4
long way
years
from
ago.
17 and 8. He's a long way from 17 and 8, though.
I'm just saying. They'll take the 15 and they'll take the difference, man. The 15 and 9, they're good with that.
He was 15 and 6, 14.6. I mean 14.6 and 5.5 or 5 rebounds for Orlando when he was there for what, 25 games this past season. The other 25 games he averaged 4 less points, 2 less rebounds. I don't know. So maybe he needs that extra time on the floor. Let me see how many minutes per game. How that changed? He averaged 4 less minutes a game. So 4 less minutes was equivalent to 4 points and 2 rebounds. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. That was a lot. Just looking at his numbers, man, that was a lot to pay for that guy who was giving you 10 points and 5 rebounds. But as you mentioned, they get rid of that Millsap contract, and so they pay him that money, and then they probably need him on the defensive end to be a bigger body, athletic body who can play multiple wing defenders. So that probably where some of his value comes in as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, he's by far the most athletic player on that team, and he gives them what they lack. So, just invest. They have to pay him what he's worth.
So, all right, Clevon, let's take a look, man. Clevon, by 2 weeks, I want to unveil our top 75 players of the NBA. In 2 weeks, I want to do that. I think correct me where I'm wrong, but I think the best way to look at this is to take the top 50 list that was put out some years ago and kind of take out some of the players. I don't mean this, I don't know how else to say it, but not that didn't belong there, and that can be replaced with some of the current players who, maybe not current players, but players from the 2000s who were not considered for that list. You follow what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So, as an example, Dolph Shays. I mean, whatever Dolph Shays meant to the NBA, I mean, I don't know that he meant more than Kobe Bryant. You know what I'm saying? Or a Dave Bing, or I know you're gonna get emotional when I say Bob Cousy, but the Dave Bing and Bob Cousy mean more than Dwayne Wade or Tim Duncan meant to the NBA. You know what I mean? So I think some of those, Hal Greer can be pulled off this list. Would you agree in that? So I want to go down the list, and you tell me where I'm wrong, because some of these guys, obviously, I didn't see a lot of these guys play, so I'm basing it on historical value. I can't go a lot. I can't really go on what they brought to. I can't talk about Paul Orzine. I don't know what he brought to the table, but I doubt what he was doing on the floor at that time when it was a segregated league, and the game was a little different. I doubt that he brought what Kevin Durant brought to the floor. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow you, Cam.
All right. So you correct me where I'm wrong when I want to take some of these guys off this list, and then we're going to kind of create our own lists where we can replace them. So I think the best way to look at this is to let's first delete some of these guys who should not be on the list, and then we'll add them with some of the guys who should be on the list. Would you agree? Can you think of a better way to kind of attack this?
I think the other way around. Let's get our first 10, that we got to make space for, and then we have to delete 10.
Okay. All right. So I have a list. I can tell you, I got a list of how many is my list right now. I got a list of 31 guys. Now, obviously, these aren't 31 guys who's going to go on this, because if you just take 50 and 30, that's 81. So we're going to have to pare down this list of 31 guys. But I'm sure within this list of 31 guys are guys that we think we can agree on that should be on this list. Let's start with Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, your guy Carmelo Anthony, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Chris Paul. That might be the first sketchy one. See, that's what I'm saying. That might be the first sketchy one where maybe he's not in our initial 10, right? Maybe he's not in that top 50. Would you? And I just want to get your feedback on this. This is our list now. Let's not. This is our list.
I'm listening to the rest of your list. I was just coming with my power 10, and then I assumed it would be the same as your power 10, and then after the first power 10, then we would kind of get into a conversation, because I don't have Chris Paul or Carmelo on my list.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to add the discussion because I don't think Carmelo probably should be there anyway. But so we agree with Kobe, LeBron, Dwayne Wade. We agree there.
Agreed.
Okay, Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant. We agree, right?
Agreed.
That's 5. Steph Curry, Kevin Garnett, Dirk.
Agreed.
That's 10 right there. That's 10 right there. That's 10 guys. Now, I want to continue to go down the list and see maybe we can get through this list and see.
Yes, I had AI and Reggie Miller on my list. You had some other cats that were not really worthy of being on the list, which was Carmelo and Chris Paul. At least not the first 10.
Okay. Well, so hold on. So you just added a couple more players to my overall list right now. So kudos to you for that. But if you're saying AI and Reggie Miller, they can't be in that first 10, can you? So we got
the first 10 that need a spot. Yeah,
you got a Reggie Miller and AI. So you have Reggie Miller and AI above Giannis, above James Harden.
Yeah,
above.
I mean, we're talking about the all-time list, right?
No, we're talking about just the 10 guys that feel they need to go onto the all-time list.
Yeah, no, I don't feel those guys that you just named are ready for their all-time list just yet.
Manu Ginobili, Tony
Talk
Parker.
about it.
Tony Parker.
Talk about it.
You have Reggie Miller and Allen Iverson better than Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker?
Yes.
And now
Tony might be a little bit of a stretch, but definitely better than Monty.
Really?
Yeah.
Manu got 3 of them, man. 3. And was a factor in all 3. Sadly, Reggie Miller and Iverson.
But Tony has an NBA Finals MVP, right?
Huh?
Tony has an NBA Finals MVP, right?
Yeah.
Okay. On those same teams as Monty, right?
Well,
no, it's not. There's no well about it. On those same teams as Monty.
Yeah, 2006, 2007 Finals MVP. Yes, he had 4-time NBA All-Star, 4 times All NBA. 6-time NBA All-Star,
4-time NBA champion.
4-time NBA champion.
Okay,
and you don't have. I don't know that he was better than Manu, but.
all that stuff you just said, you still don't know, huh? You're still confused?
I mean,
all that stuff you just said. Yeah, your criteria is something else sometimes, man. Wow. All that stuff you just said, he's better than Manu Ginobili?
Oh, man. Manu only was an All-Star 2 times? He was only All-NBA twice? 4-time champion? I thought he was 3-time champion, but he's a 4-time champ. Either one of these guys. So okay, Tony Parker gets a nod here. Just Tony Parker gets a nod there, but either one of those, Tony Parker and
I don't know if Manu's making my 75 all time, man. I really don't.
Wow.
Tony's in the conversation. I don't know if Manu's really in the conversation.
So you still want to take Allen Iverson or Reggie Miller over Tony Parker?
That's debatable. I mean, I was just throwing those names out there.
I don't think there's a debate. I don't think that's a debate anymore. Like I had Tony Parker on my list, but I had him under. I mean, sheesh. There's still Dwight Howard.
I mean, Tony definitely gets in before Carmelo and Chris Paul, like you were saying. I mean, way before those guys.
Well, okay, there. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. I'm surprised. So we're arguing now about the final spot now, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's two guys. There's two guys who's on this list. Are we agreeing that Tony Parker's in this top 10?
We'll throw him in the first 10. I'm okay with that.
Ahead of guys like Kawhi, Dame, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, Kyrie, Giannis.
Ahead of all of them.
Where is Draymond Green? Where is Klay Thompson?
Oh man, right now on the outside looking in.
Klay Thompson, both of them.
Top 75? Yeah.
What do you have? Paul Gasol. Is he in the top 75?
Not making my cut. Not just yet. Well, I mean, we got to chop it down a little finer, but not so far.
Derrick Rose, Rudy Gobert, Paul Pierce, Steve Nash. Where is Steve Nash land?
He might be in that second wave.
Okay, and so now we're down to Steve Nash, Allen Iverson, Reggie Miller. Like, who gets that final spot? Like, it just as a top 10, because we have again Kobe.
No, we have our top 10.
No, we don't have our top. We don't have our top 10. We have Kobe, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tony Parker. Well, there's one more guy. That's 9. That's 9 there.
It's one more guys. We'll go with AI and we'll figure out the rest later.
Is that a cultural? So, are you giving a cultural impact points for cultural impact AI?
No, I'm giving an impact on the game. I mean, just
he wasn't better than Steve Nash. As far when it comes to basketball, he was not better than Steve Nash. So, if you're giving those
finals, how many finals did Steve Nash go to?
Steve Nash was a 3-time MVP.
2-time MVP, back to back, and one of those years was when Kobe Bryant, scored average 29 points a game. We'll give it to Nash just to make it simple, and we'll leave AI and Reg because it's just the first 10.
It's just the first 10, right? We have still once we identify our 10, we're gonna add these to the top 50, and we still have 25 players to come up with, right? So yes, it's just. We have still room for a lot of these players, but just to identify our first 10 that's a tough cut. So we're sure we agree that Carmelo, Chris Paul, Manu are not in that 10. AI gets nod, right?
AI and Reggie Miller, yeah, those 5 are in the next wave.
Kawhi. 2-time champion, 2-time champion.
We ain't talked about him, man. Come on now. That's we're a little premature.
Chris Bosh.
Oh man, we're a little premature on that one too.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Giannis.
A little premature.
And Draymond Green, I think
they're premature on that one as well. Yeah. A little premature. Yeah.
I'm just trying
to get 75 greatest basketball players ever. No. Draymond Green is not making my list of that.
And we're sure that Allen Iverson is better than Steve Nash.
No, we put Steve Nash in front of Allen. Allen's on the second wave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood there. I misunderstood. Okay. I misunderstood there. Okay. So we got our 10. All right. Now, you want to go through the list and take off some guys.
Now, that's your job, Cam. That's what you do best. You grab him, you throw him out.
I mean, you got to help me with this, though.
I'll nod, but that's your job. That's what you do.
So Paul Orzine, he's out of here. Paul Orzine is out. I mean, I'm gonna go. I'm going right for Dave Cameron, Dave DeBuscher. Like I don't know what he did. Um, Walt Clyde Frazier, Hal Greer. I mean, come on. Havlicek. Havlicek. Let's leave him there. Sam Jones, Jerry Lucas, George Mikan. Like, would George Mikan play today? Would George Mikan play? Would George Mikan play in the 80s, 90s, or the early 2000s?
He was 7 feet tall, man. So I'm gonna help you out here.
But was he?
I
was
said
7 foot. He was 7 foot tall, 210. Like he wasn't Dirk.
yeah.
He wasn't Dirk. He wasn't competing with Shaq. He wasn't competing with David Robinson.
So I was saying Billy Cunningham might have to go.
Bob Pettit.
Bob Pettit might have to go. We already said Dolph Shays, right? Might have to go.
Bill Sharman. Like, is
Bill Sherman
is that type of shooting guard alive today?
might have to go.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You said Cunningham. I mean, that's a Cunningham from what I hear. 6 without Cunningham. I mean, Cunningham, Bob Cousy, or Dave Cowens. Who stays? I mean, Dave Cowens was a big man. He was a big man
Bob
for the
Cousy
Celtics.
stays on that list. Those other two cats got to go.
Cowens, Cunningham. Okay, so now we're at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't know how you feel about Nate Thurman, man.
Right.
Am I being sacrilegious saying he should go? I mean, not tremendous numbers, right?
Yeah. Nate Thurman. Okay. Here we go. So now we're right about where we need to be. Now we're right around where we need to be. George Mikan, man, could he play today?
I think he's making the cut. I think he's making the cut at 7 foot, man.
Sam Jones.
I think he's.
I mean, Sam Jones is shooting guard. Like a shooting guard. What is he? 6'1", 6'2"? What about Havlicek?
He's making the cut.
I think Dave Bing. What do you think about Dave Bing?
Tough one. I mean, be hard.
So I got 1. So I'm just identifying 2, 3. All these guys who's gone. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need one more guy to fit our 10 in here. Our assignment's done. One more guy.
Real quick.
Lenny Wilkins, Worthy's on the list. Wilkins, Unsell's on the list. Bill Russell, Robinson, Oscar, Willis Reed, Scotty, Robert Parrish, Shaq, Hakeem, Earl Pearl. George Mikan might be the guy. Kevin McHale, Pistol Pete, Jerry Lucas, Sam Jones. I think it's down to Sam Jones or what did I say? Sam
Did you say
Jones.
the Butcher already?
Yeah, he's already gone. I think we're down to Sam Jones or Bill or George Mikan. Julius Drexler, Cousy. I mean, Cousy. Yeah, that's where we're at, man. We're at Bing. It's either Dave Bing, Bob Cousy, Sam Jones, George Mikan. One of those guys got to go.
It's gonna have to be Bing, man.
All right, there it is. There. So, all right, so we got rid of 10 guys. Now we can fit our 10 guys in. So, do you want to? Okay, so now we went through that exercise. We got 10 guys to go on the list. Do you want to go into this list and restructure this? Or do you want
No, the restructuring is way too complicated.
Yeah.
They're just on the list for now.
Okay. All right. And next week we're going to identify 25 more guys who go on this list.
We're going to get 10 more people that we think are deserving of the list.
10 more? Well, we still got Okay, we're gonna have to come up next week. We're gonna have to come up with our complete list, and then the following week we'll do the restructuring. How's that sound? Because right now we identified the 10.
Right now we have 50 players.
Yeah, right now we have 50 players. Right, correct. So I have a list of 23 players that should go on this list.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the list looks like. I mean, some of these people that we took off may have to come back on. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what your 25 looks like, man. Derrick Rose is not making this list, man. Giannis is not really ready for this list just yet. I mean, he's knocking on the door.
Right. Okay. I mean, we're gonna have that discussion. We can. So we got our 10 to go on a list next week. And then you say you want to add 10 more to the list next week. So we already have our 10. We already have our 10 more to okay. But then that means that the following week we're gonna have 15. We're gonna have to add 15 and restructure. You follow me?
I mean, the restructuring, I mean, you know.
Or is it just no need to restructure? You make the list, you are on the list, period.
I mean, the top 20 is going to be the most controversial, and the top 10 is going to be the one that kind of really, is the one everyone's looking for. So
you're just saying you make the list, period.
You make the list, and then our top 10 is going to be the top 20 is going to be interesting, but the top 10 is really going to be the
okay.
Really
so we
break
got,
it down.
All right, so we got our 10 that need to be added. All right, so that wasn't so bad. All right, fans. So you guys heard us there. We just talked through it. We just worked through it. Worked through our list. Let me make sure I save this properly in its proper place. Okay, save. Yep, save. So we got when it comes down to it, we got Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, and Steve Nash that go on the top 50 list. Who we're taking off is Paul Arzine, Dave Bing, Dave Cowens, Billy Cunningham, Dave DeBuscher, Hal Greer, Bob Pettit, Dolph Shays, Bill Sharman, Nate Thurman. Those guys will come off the list.
No disrespect to any of those gentlemen or their families.
No, exactly. No disrespect for any of these guys. This is a tough list to make. I mean, this is tough. All these guys are NBA greats that we're discussing. Everybody that we're discussing is an NBA great. It's where are they in the greatness of the NBA? Do we have them on our list? So yes, there's definitely no disrespect to any of these guys. I mean, they're all the best of the best. We just got to come up with 75. And in respect to the NBA's top 75th anniversary, we're going to come up with our top 75. Also, we're going to have a couple guest hosts the day we reveal our top 50 or our top 75 list. That's why we kind of want to have this list done by next week, because we're going to have the guys from Hoops and Brews join us to also have the discussion on the list, on the unveiling of this list. And they probably come with the list of their own. So this would be kind of a heated conversation, like who's on here and who's not. Because these guys, I mean, last time I talked to these guys, in fact, I watched one of their shows last week. They're watching the Portland Trailblazers play the Chicago Bulls when the 90, I think it was the 92 or 93 finals. And that was just last week. And so on a random Tuesday, these guys are watching NBA finals. So that tells you that their passion for the NBA.
Okay, so we need to get all 25 of ours by next week then.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to push for. Yeah.
Okay. Good looking.
So,
we can do that. That's
yeah,
that's doable.
Yeah.
We already have 5 in reserve, so we only need 20 more.
Yeah. And I got a list. I'm sure you got more. You got more guys that can go on the list, but I already got a list. Yeah. So so that's good. And just a reminder, folks, this Friday, go ahead, check out the Voice of the Fans on YouTube, as we're going to have some exclusive behind the scene coverage as the Los Angeles Clippers put shovel to dirt on their groundbreaking ceremony for the new stadium in Inglewood, California. So make sure you follow us on Voice of the Fans on YouTube.
Y'all moving out?
We're going to have exclusive behind the scenes coverage as the Los Angeles Clippers put shovel to dirt in Inglewood, California. They're moving to the big house on the hill. They're moving to the big house on the hill, okay? And they're going to make fans around the NBA, including those a little north of us in downtown Los Angeles, in that old place, the Staples Center. The Staples Center is outdated now. The Staples Center was introduced, and it's funny when I say this. I'm being totally facetious when I say this, but the Staples Center was introduced in 1999, I believe it was, Clevon. When the Staples Center was introduced, there was nothing downtown. It was stood alone. Now across the street, there's LA Live. There's the Marriott, the big hotel, the Marriott. There's a Ritz-Carlton within walking distance. There's hotels. They're restructuring, regentrifying the whole area now that the Staples Center is downtown, and it brought all these extra businesses downtown. Because before the Staples Center, you did not go downtown Los Angeles. I learned that the hard way. So it's just kind of odd that's now it's 20 years ago, and stadiums usually really last that 20, 25 year mark, although the Staples Center is going to be around a little bit longer. And if anything, they'll do some upgrades and modifications to it that I doubt it's coming down. But it's just kind of funny to say that 20 years later, outdated is a strong word to use. However, this new facility in Inglewood, there's going to be one gym in the city, and it's not going to be downtown LA. I can tell you that. So fans, make sure you guys check us out, Voice of the Fans. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Voice of the Fans on YouTube, and we're going to have exclusive coverage of the ceremonial groundbreaking for the new stadium in Inglewood. Clevon, let's take a little break right here. When we come back, we're going to do, as always, This Week in History, as we always do. We're going to have some college football comments, man. I want to know a little bit more about your trip to the big house. And then Vlad Rad, I mean, you put the heat to Vlad Rad, huh? Is he Vlad Rad closing in on the AL MVP? Is he trying to steal it from Ohtani? Is he trying something out here? We're going to talk about that, man. And then fantasy football. I want to know how your fantasy football team did, Clevon. I want to know. My teams want to know. And without fanfare, without getting too excited, my teams want to know. We're just going to leave it at that. But I want to know how your team did. I want to know how excited you are about your squad. Okay? So let's take a little break here. When we come back, we're going to have these conversations, man. We also got to do our prediction. We got to run through our predictions.
Do we first?
Huh?
No, we have
all
the same.
Yeah, so we did run up through that already. Okay, yeah. I just have it differently on my spreadsheet. I didn't move it up, but we did that already. Okay, cool. All right, cool beans, man. Yeah, so this list. So I'll send you the list that I created. And then we can play with this and kind of go back and forth, online, kind of who you think you can highlight mine. You'll see how I did it. I highlighted, you'll see how I have it. I highlighted those that need to come off on one side. I deleted, you'll see an empty space, and then I highlighted those that we just talked about need to go on the list. And then I have my list of guys, and if you want to, if you have some other guys, like I didn't have Iverson and Reggie Miller on my initial list. So if there's other guys that you think should go on the list, just add those, and then that'll be part of our discussion next week as to who. Because I still have, like I said, I still have just 20 names, and whether they make the cut, whether they don't, I don't know. But if you have some other guys that you think should make the cut, we can have that discussion next week. So we can just come up with, instead of ranking them, we're just going to identify who needs to go on the list. So we need to come up with 25 more names to go on the list. There's no need to rank them. I guess we can rank our top 10 or top 20 if you want, just for shits and grins. But
right.
if they're just on the list, they're on the list. I like that concept. That also saves some time, right?
Right.
So I'll send that to you as well later on.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to it. What time? 1:35. All right, fans. Thank you guys for tuning in. Voice of the Fan podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in, sticking the stand. Again, however you're listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, if you're working out at the gym, if you're on the walk with the dog, if you're getting your hustle on and running your errands, if you're out there on the street, on the corner, getting your hustle in, we appreciate you guys for tuning in to the baddest show, sports show around. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend about the Voice of the Fans podcast, because each and every week, Clevon, now for somebody told me years ago, how has it been like 3 years now? Somebody told me we don't have enough content to go year round. And sure enough, we got enough content to go year round. And we just keep coming up with content, man. So make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend about the content that we do have, our stick-to-itiveness. And then, if you know anybody that knows Clevon Steele, and you can get around to him, because I hate beating up on him each and every week and showing him that he should listen to me more. And I mean this sentimentally. I mean, he just listen to me. Follow my lead, and your picks will be better. Your fantasy team will be better if you just follow my lead. So if you know anybody that knows Clevon Steele, just put a buzz in his ear, help him out. Because when he hears it from me, it's like, it's like, what is it? Fingernails on a chalkboard. He just hates to hear it, right? Because he knows that he's wrong when I have to say it. But if somebody else points it out to him, maybe he doesn't feel as bad. I don't know. Maybe that's an angle we can go. But each and every week we do our show. We do This Week in History, This Week in Sports History. So either this week or somewhere thereabouts back in the day, we want to talk about some pivotal moments in the history of the world, of the U.S., of the world, of our lives, actually. Clevon, 1830, a few years before you were born, September 15th, the first National Negro Convention began in Philadelphia. So they were getting together back in 1830 in Philadelphia. In 1848, by the way, a few years later, September 16th, slavery was abolished in all French territories. So that was a good thing. 1718, we applaud. 9/17, 1861, we applaud. And I mean sincerely, we need to bow down sincerely to those who founded the Hampton Institute. And I can tell you from living in the area, man, they just populated Hampton Roads, man, with some of the most assertive, beautiful, confident women in America that went to that university and graduated through that university. And I know this firsthand because I frequented the campuses of that university. So I applaud those who founded Hampton. It was Hampton University now, but it was Hampton Institute for many years, 1861. So congratulations to those. And those who founded the Atlanta University, they deserve some of the same applause for doing what they did a few years later, September 19th, 1865, for founding Atlanta University, obviously in the city of Atlanta. And Clevon, Muhammad Ali, you might remember this, defeated Leon Spinks on this day in 1978 to win his third heavyweight boxing title. Now, speaking of boxing, Clevon, but we're going to give Muhammad Ali his flowers, obviously. But speaking of boxing, we got a couple big fights on the brink. Sean Porter scheduled to fight Terence Crawford. Not going to be an easy fight for Terence Crawford. It's not going. Although he may win, we know Sean Porter's a bulldog, and he's going to bring everything he can into that fight. So that's going to be a tough fight. You said you want to see Crawford fight somebody. This would be a fight that you don't want to miss. We actually have Canelo here early in a few weeks. Actually, he's going to be taking on Caleb Plant, who's going to be. It's going to be a tough fight for Caleb Plant. We don't know how long. In all my conversations, I heard one person pick Plant over Canelo. Plant. My concern is, does Plant have enough speed? Does Plant have enough power to kind of get rid of Canelo or keep Canelo off of him? Because Canelo, once he's going to take Canelo a round or two to kind of figure out your rhythm before he just starts coming in for the attack. And if Plant at that point doesn't have the power to keep Canelo off of him, Canelo's going to walk through him. If he doesn't have, he's going to have the speed to keep him off him with combinations and the power to obviously to make him respect him. If I don't know that he has that speed and power. I know he's a technical boxer. I know he's going to try to he can outpoint him, but that means he's going to have to be quick on his feet. He's going to have to move because, again, Canelo's going to withstand some punches. And that's the thing you have to like about Canelo is he'll take a punch or two to land his punch or two. And can Plant, when Canelo's ready to take your punch or two, can he give him second thoughts about coming towards him? And that's what the fight is going to come down to. And that I don't know. I know that Plant is a hard worker. Plant is a confident guy. I just don't know if he has the speed and or power to fend off Canelo. And so my money ultimately is going to go on Canelo in that fight, and we'll see how long he can actually last through that. So there's a couple big bouts. Oh, I didn't even mention Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I didn't even mention that fight. Who's a trilogy there? Oh, who do you have in either one of those fights?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with Tyson Fury until Deontay Wilder shows me something other than a thunderous right hand. Yeah, Canelo Alvarez and Bud Crawford. You were kind of talking around all that, but yeah, that's how it's gonna break down.
I was long-winded for nothing, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, very analytical. I liked it. He was, kind of playing devil's advocate there, but yeah, that's how that's gonna shape up. Yeah.
Okay. So while you were at the big house out in Michigan watching the Huskies get rolled on, I was in USC witnessing Stanford put the smackdown on USC Trojans. And apparently nobody at USC. Now USC had a dope opening. They had a real dope opening. They called back one of their former players from a few years ago, brought him back to kind of turn off the lights in UFC, and where everything went dark before they had USC run on the field in the dark, and then once they got to midfield, they kind of sprung the lights back on, which was kind of dope the way they did it. Obviously, it was a memorial also to those who on 9/11, those who the families that passed and everything that happened there on 9/11. So. They gave their tribute to 9/11, tribute to the country, but they turned off the lights to begin the game against Stanford Cardinals, and then Stanford Cardinals actually turned off the lights on the Trojans by halftime, and then that was it for Clay Helton, who ended up getting fired the next day, or excuse me, a couple days later. Actually, it was a Monday. With that being said, Has anybody asked it? Have they got response from Pete Carroll as to who, as to his desire to come back and coach the USC Trojans?
No, they don't ask silly questions like that around here, Cam.
They don't ask silly questions like that. Well, they spent a lifetime, or they spent now, what's it been, since 2013, 14 years now, since Pete Carroll has been in Seattle. They spent that same amount of time trying to replace Pete Carroll, trying to find a Pete Carroll clone down here in SoCal. And, why not just ask him, hey, Pete, do you want to come back? We can clear out your old office, and we can even expand your old office. I mean, if you want to come back, Pete. I mean, they already was paying for his house, and he had every fresh lease that he needed. So they frequent those stuff behind the books down there at USC, and tell Pete come back and get it together again.
Yeah, Pete hangs out with like great Paul Allen's money, so he doesn't need the SC money that you guys are going to be throwing his way. He has the Paul Allen fortune with which to deal with. So,
but okay. He might not have Russell much longer in his career.
Well, hey, as you can see, Russell Wilson and his new offensive coordinator get along great, and yeah, future looks bright.
Okay, I'm just wondering. But so the talk of the town obviously has been down here is who should be the next coach, and looks like they're trying to either Franklin out of Penn State is a crowd favorite, or oddly enough or sadly enough, is going to be Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, who is somebody they might target. And considering that he can't get a job in the NFL, I mean, being the head coach of the USC Trojans, if you're ever to turn that around, maybe that'll prove to somebody that you deserve a head coaching job in the NFL. What's your thoughts on that? And do you think if Bieniemy took that job, do you think that would eliminate him from any coaching opportunities in the NFL? What's your thoughts on that?
It could work both ways for Bieniemy. I mean, obviously he can use it as somewhat of a leverage. Well, actually, he probably can't do that because they need a coach pretty quickly. So let me back up for a second. If he were to go to SC and establish himself, much like Pete Carroll and much like Urban Meyer, he would have his finger on the pulse of college football. So on his way back in, he would be able to bring that assessment of talent with him, with kind of a list of players that can kind of turn a very bad franchise around. But at the same time, I think he's literally one knock at the door from being a head coach. So, I mean, it would be hard to kind of turn that away. I mean, could potentially lead a team to his third consecutive Super Bowl. So, I mean, I would think that it's a much better opportunity to be in the pros. But at the same time, if he were to go to SC, I think it would be successful for him, but I don't think they can wait for him. I mean, for an entire season to make their decision. So I don't think that's a very good option for them.
Well, so in that respect to what you just said, them waiting on Eric Bieniemy, like unless they bring in a head coach, what is it, Peterson, who used to coach up there in UW?
They would be so behind on recruiting that there would just be no reason to really actually do it.
What do you mean? Bring in somebody? What do you mean? If they waited until February to bring somebody in?
Well, they could potentially be waiting until February to even interview Eric Bieniemy. I mean, they could do some preliminary interviewing process, but the actual recruiting of players, I mean, he wouldn't be able to be involved in it until after the recruiting year was already over. So they would be better served getting someone that was going to be able to get on the ground, faster and continue to build the program.
Well,
the timing is not good.
To your point, first of all, about Bieniemy, like he'd have to. How long is he going to wait? Like if he didn't take this opportunity, just as an example, his passion was to be a head coach in the NFL, and he says, okay, I want to focus on that, and he passed on this opportunity with coaching at USC. He used to live here in Southern California when he was a offensive coordinator or
So ask the question differently, man. Would you
No.
stop doing what you're doing right now, being the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, to go take on the job as the head coach of USC right now?
Depends on a couple of things. How bad does he want to be a head coach? Number one, what does he really truly think of the USC opportunity? And then how bad does he want to be a head coach in the NFL? Like if that is his ultimate and end all be all, you stay where you are. You're in a good position where you are. Like you said, quite possibly on your way to a third Super Bowl appearance. But then the question is, he has to ask some people, some peers of his, will he have an opportunity? Is the scar, is his appearance such a scar, such a burden on other owners that they don't want to even interview him for a position because of the color of his skin or because of something that he said 20 years ago? Is that holding him back? Well, if that's the case, he might as well go coach at USC because and have to reprove himself again. Not that he hasn't already done so, but have to reprove himself. Um, does he like USC? He used to coach. He was a Bruin for several years. Does he want to put on that garnet and gold and go over there and kind of experience that life in South Los Angeles? Does he want to do that? Now I can tell you that they're looking for somebody. They would welcome him with open arms. Just from all the conversations I've heard this week, they would welcome him with open arms. The USC campus is completely revamped over the last 5 to 6 years. And any kid in the area could, and would want to go there. They've let some kids get out the back door. The Bryce Youngs, who's at Alabama right now. There's a couple other quarterbacks who's sprinkled around the country. So there's as you know already, there's quite a bit of talent already in the Southern California market. Does he feel he has a finger on that pulse? And as far as recruiting goes, he can. It's let's not act like it hasn't been done before. He can verbally commit to the team and allow the Dante Williams, excuse me, who's already been recruiting players there already, and let him continue to do the recruiting process, and he'll be there to coach once his NFL season's over. Like that's a complete possibility. So there's ways to kind of get that done, but it's on him and his desire. Like, do you want to coach in the NFL or do you want to coach in college? What's most important to you? Because this would be a good opportunity. I mean, if for any coach to coach, the University of Southern California Trojans. I mean, just the history, the pageantry with them alone it makes that a quality job. Not only are they going to pay you, the University of Southern California has proven not only on the football field but in the classroom as well. They'll bend a rule or two to get some of the talent in there that they want to get in there. So, and I'm talking specifically about the actors and the fake classes that they had their kids going through, the fake transcript that they're coming up with to get their kids in school. So the USC Trojans are known to have bending a rule or two to kind of get the players that they want. So it depends. So Franklin is considering a consideration, and Bieniemy is a consideration for a job. It's just like you mentioned. Can they wait all year for Bieniemy? And Franklin they have to wait the same length of time for Franklin as well, because I don't think he's going to leave his job midstream for a job across the country. Franklin, the coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions. What do you think about that? Who would be the better fit?
Franklin would be the better fit. And no, you don't leave a top 15 program because some other team fired their coach.
Yeah, so they'll be waiting for that. They'll be waiting on him any way it goes. So, so they got a hold there, and we'll see how that thing transpires. Did you happen to watch Monday Night Football this past?
I did watch some of that. Yeah.
Did you watch now? Did you watch the Peyton Manning Eli feed, or did you watch the regular?
I didn't watch the Manning feed. I just watched it traditionally. Okay. I was just kind of getting back into town and was a little groggy. So
yeah, well, you need to make sure next week You watch the Manning feed. These cats were hysterical. They had Russell Wilson was on there in the fourth quarter. They had Charles Barkley on there as a guest host. They had um, the tight end for the Chiefs, Travis Kelsey on the show as well. So they had some people kind of come in and kind of help them. It was not they did not do a traditional game call. There was no it's second down. What do you think they should do? It's second and 12. What do you think they should do? It was not any of that. It was a lot of you and me watching the game, slick talks, slick comments. Now, because of the history that Peyton and Eli Manning have, not only with each other but with the NFL, they were able to give you some insight about what's going on there. Especially they're talking to Ray Lewis, and one of the things that they pointed out is when Ray Lewis played Eli Manning for the first time, Peyton Manning was asking Eli kind of what he felt about playing against Ray Lewis, who was, I think this was 2001 when Eli was a rookie, and that was the height of Ray Lewis and the Ravens' powers at the time. So Peyton obviously knowing what happened and knowing the results of the game, asked Eli kind of, what did you think when you're going up against Ray Lewis? And then he asked Ray Lewis, he's like, when you saw this young rookie coming on the board, what was your thoughts? And he's like, well, our thoughts was to kind of demolish the young rookie. And Eli walked into the game with a 0.00 passing quarterback rating. He was like 4 for 18 for like 37 yards, and they just clowned Eli for that. So it was kind of funny. They had some moments where Peyton and Eli try to provide commentary on Lamar Jackson's running ability. And Eli's like, I can't even comment on that. I can't even comment on that. I ran a 6.2 40. I don't even know what he's doing out there. He put on a move where he faked somebody, then did a spin move and got past that defender before he shook another defender. He's like, Peyton, you really can't say anything about that either, because you would have blown out a hip. Have you tried to do any of these moves that Lamar Jackson is doing? So it was a lot of clowning back and forth, but it was absolutely hilarious. It was, luckily they signed a deal. ESPN has these guys locked up. But I assure you, every network executive Monday, Tuesday are trying to find somebody who can compete, another pairing that can compete with Eli and Peyton, because it was phenomenal. Like, they tried to give you some of that. Did you watch the John Gruden, the CFFA kind of that sit down when he sat down with the quarterbacks and try to get them to run a play? They were trying to give you some of that too, but Peyton Manning was Peyton Manning was trying to do too much. He had a whiteboard. He had, let me diagram the play. Let me call a play and diagram what players are trying to go there. But you didn't have all that time, because then they try to come back to a play or something would happen on the field, and they're asking Peyton to talk about what happened on the field, but he's over here trying to diagram on play. Like, it was too much going on. So they kind of cut some of that out by the second quarter, and then it became Peyton and Eli talking, and less demonstrations. Which the demonstration it was good. It was just a whole lot for all of that and a football game going on. Like, it wasn't a separate show. You follow what I'm saying? Gotcha. So it tried to bring some of that. I mean, it was phenomenal. I don't know what the ratings were. I expect them to kind of double from next week, because it was absolutely phenomenal. And TNT, well, maybe not TNT because they have the best show in sports, but ESPN, ESPN2, Fox, anybody that airs football games is looking for a duo to do what they can. But the problem is the Manning's family has so much cachet, right? They have so much history that are you going to be able to duplicate that? And it's not the fact that you and I knowing football to be able to talk about that. It's to have people dial in to watch you and I talk about everything else but what's going on the field, and hold that attention. Like, that the job they're now those two were because it's kind of shooting the shit, but it's because they have so much knowledge of the game that they're able to not really focus on the game and have that extra dialogue and just shoot the shit. It was absolutely phenomenal, man. You gotta go on YouTube, man. Do what you can to see if you can catch some of the highlights of it because it was riveting TV. Like I was blown away. It was absolutely spectacular, man. It was I was blown away, and I expect to see a whole lot more of it. And no, the ESPN's their coverage has sucked. Monday Night Football coverage has sucked for years anyway. So it needed a breath of life, and they found that. So yeah, go ahead and look for that. This week, Clevon, who do you have starting? Ask you one question before we get into our fantasy football talk, but who do you have starting first? Trey Lance or Justin Jones?
Justin Fields will start before Trey Lance.
Justin Fields, thank you. Justin Fields. Well, Trey Lance, he got a chance to get in the game and show off his arm, but didn't have that was about it. And because your boy played pretty well himself. And Garoppolo as they pulverize somebody. So Clevon, how'd your fantasy football team do, man? Looks like
oh, hey Cam, thanks for asking. They were victorious.
Yeah.
Young Sam Rothstein team wins convincingly.
Convincingly, what position are you in though? I'm looking at the list and looks
I'm
like
in first place. I'm 1-0.
No, looks like you're in fifth place. You're 1-0, but there's a few other players that are 1-0 yourself.
Maybe they scored some more points, but they got a better record than me. We're all the same.
All right, let me look ahead to the scheduling here. When do I play you?
Hey, don't be looking ahead for that kind of train wreck.
That's what I want to know. I want to know when I play you. That's what I want to know.
That's not something you want to play around with.
Yeah, luckily they have this deep in the season.
Okay,
there
good.
It is right there. There it is right there. Week 7.
Good.
Week 7.
Good.
That's what you need to be targeting right there. Week 7. Of course, as of this moment, I'm scheduled to beat you just on numbers alone. But I don't know that you guys are going to be ready, man. Dak Prescott be playing by week 7?
Sure will be.
McLaurin, Najee Harris will be on the bye that week, so I don't get to see.
Oh wow! Now you know. Okay, now you want to turn your back on your dude. Okay.
No, I'm just saying I don't have to worry about him that week. Myers, you got Jerry Jeudy, Kittles. You got Kittles. What? Hold on, did you make some moves?
No. That's off the draft.
That was off the draft.
It's off the draft.
Well, look at you got Bridgewater, Landry on the bench. So you don't know what you're doing. You got Landry on the bench. You don't know what's going on.
Hey, man, it's the first game of the season. It was Jeudy. He's going to take Judy's spot. So,
well, let's see if you can keep this interesting through week 7. So this will be an actual. I won't be 7-0 by then. Let's see if you can keep this interesting, and you just won't be a bump in the road. Let's see if you can actually make this competitive up until week 7.
Just another souvenir, another trophy to add to my collection. So, yeah.
This fictitious collection you have going on?
Oh no, it's not fictitious. It's you and I. We're getting this started, man. Yeah, this is a real thing.
Well, again, we're in the league, Voice of the Fans Fantasy Football League. We'll be having this discussion each and every week, fans. Mm-hmm. You see, Clevon is a glutton for punishment because not only will I be able to beat him in the confidence pitch each week, so I'll be able to beat him in our points against the spread. I'll be able to beat him in our regular pick segments each and every week, and that's going to ultimately cost Clevon. He doesn't know it now, but that's ultimately going to cost him. Whether it's a dinner, whether it's a flight, what it is is undetermined. That's ultimately going to cost Cleveland.
You need to talk to your financial institution and see about getting some credit cards, man, because you're going to need them.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Vlad overtook Shohei Ohtani this past week in the.
Oh, for real? Like I've been saying?
No, not like you've been saying. He finally overtook him this last week. I think he has one more home run than Shohei Ohtani. Okay. My question is to you: if he wins the Triple Crown and Shohei Ohtani finishes the record or finishes the season number 2 in home runs, plus what he's doing pitching at, let's say he's 10-1, double-digit wins pitching, ERA under 3, who deserves the MVP at that point?
Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
So players have hit for the players have won a Triple Crown as recently within the last 5 years have won a Triple Crown. Nobody
And how about before then, Cam?
Nobody has done what Shohei Ohtani's done in 80 years. Nobody's alive.
I think there's only been 4 people to win the Triple Crown. Yeah, no. If Vlad wins a Triple Crown and takes his team to the playoffs, he's the MVP of the league.
Wow. So quickly they turned on Shohei because he didn't want to go to the Northwest. He'd rather go to Southern California.
That was his decision. I don't make those decisions, Cam.
Now the Northwest is just complete hating on Shohei Ohtani. And you're an example of that right there, Clevon. An example. Fans, we want to thank you guys for tuning in as always. Again, whether you're listening to us, however you're listening to us, whether you're on the go or in the car, traveling on a long road trip, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I'm going to leave you guys with this one quote from the aforementioned Muhammad Ali. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. And that's what that's kind of what I do. You know, I don't quit. When I'm preparing for the show, doing my homework for my picks each and every week, I don't take that lightly because I want to live the rest of my life as a champion, knowing that I smack Clevon around week after week. I enjoy that. That's an invigorating feeling, fans. If you guys didn't or weren't aware of that already, but that's a quote that can stick with you guys. You can post it up on your wall. Don't put it in Notre Dame colors now because apparently that's part of the NL license or trademarked. It is trademarked that live like a champion. But hey, I hated every minute of training, but I said don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. So the great Muhammad Ali left us that quote. Clevon, as I mentioned, man, thank you for tuning in, or thank you for sticking with us this week and throughout the year. Thank you for being the pincushion of the Voice of the Fans podcast. And fans, we want to thank you for your participation as always. Like I said, be sure to rate and review our podcast. It really helps us with the algorithm. And always, fans, I want to thank you for making our voice your choice. Thank you, fans. Thank you, Clevon. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Have a great night, Cam.
All right, man. Later.